G'day, we're back here at the painting with Michelle Obama. Anyway, I've taken the liberty of taking the painting back to my studio and progressing quite a bit more from what we last saw. I think last time we just had the eyes and a little bit of the nose done, but in this I've got a lot of the, I've blocked in some of the arms, the hair, and a little bit more of the face. It's a little bit reddish at the moment, but I'd rather come in and put more colour in there than I need than have it too bland looking and having to try and add colour later. It's always easier to sort of break down a colour than it is to add a colour, and I'm just sort of at that stage where I can, you know, I've put a lot of red, it's fairly reddish tone, but I can always come back in later and fix that all up. But yeah, I went back to the Billabong, and you know, typically a portrait like this, if I was working on it, I'd probably spend at least a week or two on it, something this size. So, you know, if you're on an hour show, it's amazing how fast you can work when you need to. But yeah, I've been painting portraits in this area for about, probably about 13, 14 years, and as I said, I never really went to school for painting, but sort of made all the mistakes along the way of what not to do, and you know, often found stuff worked just by accident. As they say in the art world, you have happy mistakes. But just come in here, put a little bit on the nose, and then come in and put a nice bit of light coming from her left down here, just to give you that contrast. And you sort of get into these, I'm getting into this portion of the painting now called transition areas, and I always seem to find these a little bit harder because it's sort of the nuts and bolts of a portrait. You know, you've got to be sort of, what do you say, carefully spontaneous, if that's such a thing. You've got to come in and, you know, sort of be semi-loose with your colouring, but also being careful to create that look. And that's what I'm at the stage at now. It's just really, especially with noses, where you're transitioning from a dark colour to a lighter colour to an even lighter colour. That way it makes it look round. And what I'll do now is I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on some of the lips. And lips are kind of tough. When you look at lips, you know, they tend to be, I mean, of course, lips with lipstick are red, but I'll come in and mix a little bit of blue colour, and I'll go mix a warm colour against a cool colour, meaning, say, a blue against a red. And even though the photo won't often show you that, it's needed because in a painting it works. It just shows a little bit more dimension to the painting. And so I'm going to come in here and just sort of delineate the bottom part of her top lip here. And with the fine brush, there's the shadow line right in the middle. And they just sort of give me a rough guide for now. I'll come in here and just a little bit of, I use mostly alizarin crimson, brilliant rose. Another colour I like to use is King's Blue, which will sort of give me that cool tone on top of it. And there's a, you know, everybody has their own take on colours. And that's how you develop your own style. There's, you know, certain colours you work with, and they keep popping up time and again in your paintings. Here we just mark the corners out a little bit there. As you can see, it's sort of. Another thing with doing mouths is if, you know, people are smiling. Of course, most of us have white teeth, but you know, in the photo it'll show it's like very white, and you want to try and interpret that in a painting. They're not really white. They're sort of more of a pearly, sometimes a bluey grey colour, because if I just painted that flat white in teeth, I mean, it would look pretty fake. It sort of looked like, you know, the first time when Uncle George came home with his new false teeth and the things were absolutely glowing. You just didn't, you want to be able to sort of find a happy balance between having them too white and having them too dark either. So I'm going to come back in here with a little bit of that blue and pink again, sort of a neutral pinky grey colour. It's still a little bit light there. I'll come back in here and the thing is too, is half the time you're going to have to figure out right on the canvas. You know, things change as you go along, and you'll say, hey, you know, it doesn't work, it just doesn't look right, something's amiss there. So I'll come back in, and I'll even use a bit of Naples yellow in areas where there's a little bit of light. There we go. And you can see it's starting to look like a set of lips. There we are. And I'll even use a little bit of that alizarin and Naples yellow together to get that really nice light red colour in here, where it transitions from the shadow to the lightest part where the light's hitting her lips. Right there. Then I come in with the lightest. There we go, that nice warm light is coming from the sides, so there we go. And you know, I'll come back in again later and sort of refine it a little bit. There's always touch-ups to do. You know, it's all about details. That's why typically most portraits take me a fair bit of time, because I'm going to go back in and rework them and do details. But you got to sort of see more or less the nuts and bolts of a portrait, and you'll see what initially goes into one. She's a very tall lady, Michelle Obama. She's just under 6 feet tall, so she's, you know, she's a lot taller than me. She'd be patting me on the head. Apparently, when she first met Barack Obama, I think the first impressions weren't that great. Apparently, apparently people said that she thought he had too big of a nose. So, but hey, looked like things worked out fine. Come back in here. There's a little bit of the lighter pink yellow in there, and then I'll come back in here, and this is where the light's probably the most intense, is on a bottom lip right in here. And this is going to be sort of roughed in. I'm going to come in here later on and blend this out a little bit. Right in here is where your transition area is, where this light hits this dark. That's where you have to do your blending, and that's what takes the time, is right in there. And up above the lips, of course, we have the gum line, which is a little bit darker. Come in here. There we go. That's coming out pretty good. I'll just sort of delineate the teeth line. And as you can see, starting to take shape. I'll come back in here with the teeth